Duncan Cartledge Online, Insights for Construction Professionals. Welcome to this latest podcast from Duncan Cartledge Online, the online resource for construction professionals. Duncan Cartledge Online offers more than 9 hours of video presentations that are available 24/7 for just £7 a month. Remember to subscribe to your usual podcast provider so you don't miss out on any updates, and be sure to visit our YouTube channel for additional content. It's great to have you with us again for another episode. And as always, I'm joined by Barney, my red Labrador, who helps keep an eye on things and occasionally offers some invaluable advice. Now, both Barney and I would be delighted if you could take a moment to write a review, because your feedback does mean a lot to us. If this is your first time listening to Duncan Cartledge Online podcasts, welcome. Please remember to subscribe and to catch up on previous episodes. To our existing subscribers, thank you very much for your continued support. Please help us by spreading the word about the podcasts. Before we get into the podcast, a couple of pieces of news. First, during the next couple of months, we will be developing a new offer on the website, a dedicated and structured course in measurement all in one place. It will follow a logical sequence following NRM2 work sections from groundworks to finishes. The video presentations will be a mix of existing material plus some new content, and each section will include a multiple choice quiz so that you can assess your progress. Access will be to the website via programs, and there is no completion date so that you can set your own pace. There will be a one-off charge for the course, price yet to be decided, so keep a watch out for developments. Secondly, July the 14th sees the publication of the 5th edition of the Quantities Surveyors Pocketbook. The book includes complimentary videos as well as taking off, presented in spreadsheet format. And now, back to the records. In this jam-packed episode, Barney and I will be looking at: is faster better? Are you having a laugh? Government regulation, do we need it? And the first mental health code of practice has been released. So let's kick off with, is faster better? Or are you having a laugh? The New Model Institute for Technology and Engineering, that's MNITE, I should call it MITI, doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it? Which is based in Hereford, has positioned itself as the UK's only wholly accelerated higher education institute. And while on the topic of naming institutes, back in the 1990s, when polytechnics and technical colleges were being converted into universities, Dundee Institute of Technology was after a prestigious title to match its new university status. Some bright spark looked to the world-renowned Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, and came up with the suggestion of the Tayside Institute of Technology and Science. I'm sure you can understand why it wasn't adopted. Well, from September 2026, a BSc Honours Construction Management will join MITI's existing 2-year accelerated engineering pathways, which include integrated engineering, mechanical engineering and autonomous robots. This means students can now complete a full construction management degree and enter the workforce, it's claimed, as job-ready professionals. But more about this later, in just 2 years rather than the traditional 3 or even 4 years in Scotland. But is faster necessarily better? I'm sure industry will be rubbing their hands. One major contractor commented, "Amazing. Someone has at last realised what employers require by way of staff. Individuals ready for employment, not academics with no experience of the real world." Another remarked, "MITI's unique accelerated degree produces work-ready graduates in 2 years rather than 3. This not only means that they're ready to build critical infrastructure early, but they have the right behaviours, mindset and skills to work in a project team. Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? And MITI claimed that higher education in the UK takes too long and costs too much. Now, where I wouldn't disagree with MITI is HE costing too much, especially when the sort of total mismanagement of university finances by highly paid, poorly qualified amateurs becomes apparent, as has happened over many universities during the last few years. But I'm not sure about the taking too long, particularly as the MITI programme includes a dissertation and a work placement. Interestingly, there are no traditional exams. Instead, assessment takes the form of a display of artefacts developed during the course, creative media presentations, debates, and general question and answer sessions. I can't help wonder how the professional bodies, particularly the CIOB, will react to that. And I speak from someone who has experienced on several occasions the CIOB's forensic accreditation and mapping process. I took time to look at MITI's website, and there appears to be a lot of multitasking by the staff. There is strong emphasis on sustainability, but few, if any, professional body members. But perhaps I got the wrong end of the stick. But I would challenge MITI's statement that construction students have a right to a full degree and professional status in 2 years. Degree, okay. Professional status? Really? A degree does not a professional make. MITI operates a 9-to-5, 46-week academic year with structured reflection embedded into modules, though it stresses the focus remains firmly on applied skills and employability rather than extended academic reflection. To me, it looks rather like a return to the 1960s and the IQS, RICS, CIOB courses, but without the exams. In fact, it looks like shorter, faster training is catching on, as this week the Construction Industry Training Board launched an accelerated apprenticeship programme aimed at increasing the supply of skilled workers for house building and addressing regional construction skills shortages. The initiative forms part of the CITB's wider support package for the government's target to build 1.5 million homes by 2029. Yes, what did ever happen to that? The scheme is expected to deliver 1,680 apprenticeship starts over the next 4 years in key home building trades, including bricklaying, carpentry and roofing. The programme will also allow apprentices to complete their training in 14 to 18 months, compared with the typical 2 to 3 years at present. The CITB said that shorter training duration will be achieved through intensive early stage training combined with block release learning and on-site work experience. An initial 5-year programme will be established through further education colleges and training providers in areas with plans to expand to 20 programmes by 2029. However, feedback from time-served tradespeople about fast-track apprenticeships aren't very complimentary and include comments like, "And we wonder why we have so many new homes with multitude issues. So a fully fledged and skilled worker from nothing in 14 months. Are you having a laugh? I won't be rushing to buy a new home anytime soon." And apprenticeships have been whittled down in the past, resulting in poorly trained people in the workforce with a depreciation in skills and workmanship that has filtered down the workforce with a lower standard taken to be acceptable. I must say that I find the last sentence referring to lowering of standards to be very pertinent. And talking of acronyms, which we weren't, the UK's Real Estate Investment and Infrastructure Forum, or UK REIF, described as the UK's leading forum on real estate investment and infrastructure, also seems to have a problem. It looks like the Leeds version of MIPIM. I've never been, but personally I prefer MIPIM. The need for construction workers needs no reinstatement, as the number of additional workers needed has, according to Skills England, increased to 53,000 between 2025 and 2035, partly to support government building targets. Against this backdrop of calls for more skilled workers and apprenticeships, increased repair and maintenance activity in April failed to prevent the slowest monthly growth in overall UK construction output for the year to date. Data released today from the ONS revealed that the sector's overall output grew by an estimated 0.1% in April. New housing decreased by 2.8% compared to March. The sector has been battered by Labour's policies. The government's decisions to increase national insurance contributions, raise the minimum wage, and reform inheritance tax landed simultaneously at pace on firms already navigating weak pipelines and rising input costs. Consequently, firms are having to cut apprenticeships and defer investment at the precise moment they are being asked to help deliver Labour's targets to build 1.5 million homes. There have been calls for Britain to follow the likes of Ireland and introduce targeted tax reliefs for construction and logistic organisations. In fact, if the almost daily reports are to be believed, the number of additional construction workers has risen to more than 1 million by 2035, and that's according to the Skills England first annual skills report and accompanying sector skills needs assessment. It's quite a mouthful. The report, published on the 1st of June, says construction faces the largest increase in workforce demand among the government's priority sectors. I think it's a fair assumption that construction will fall short of workers, so are humanoid construction robots the answer? Or is this just clutching at straws? Well, last month there was a humanoid robot summit, which attracted academics, construction industry leaders, and software and hardware developers. One Tier 1 contractor has already introduced a £15,000 robot to automate site data collection in what it says is the first development of its kind by a major UK contractor. The move is aimed both at freezing up workers from time-consuming data collection tasks, but also as a weapon in the fight to address the construction skills shortage. The robot, named Douglas, has been on trial for 10 weeks and is capable of autonomously navigating a construction site to capture 360-degree imagery, produce progress reports, and carry out health and safety monitoring. Apparently, the 30-kilogram robot can climb stairs, use lifts, and open doors unassisted, although deploying it anywhere involving a risk of falling from height has been ruled out, and there's no current plan to get Douglas to attempt ladders. Can you imagine being hit by a 30-kilogram flying robot? Douglas can also carry out laser scanning that can detect defects. Beyond its operational role, Douglas has a second purpose, changing the image of the industry to attract a new generation of workers and to try to tempt Gen Z onto the construction site. It's planned to take Douglas into schools and colleges as part of its social value programme, using the robot to demonstrate to young people that construction is a technology-led career. Personally, I'm not convinced it will do the trick. And now, moving on to the UK government's call for evidence on the future of regulation of the professions. I wonder if you noticed that the government has launched a call for evidence to inform future policy on those working within the building professions, trades and occupations. It follows the government's announcement in its Single Construction Regulator Prospectus at the end of 2025 that it will publish a new strategy for the built environment workforce. It follows the obvious gaps in the regulatory system brought to light with the Grenfell Tower disaster. Call for evidence is structured into 5 parts: pre-design, design and specification, construction, operation and maintenance, and cross-cutting themes and challenges. Input has been requested from those who work across the entire building life cycle, including those directly employed in the full range of building environmental professions, trades and occupation, clients, commercial, public sector and domestic, education providers, and professional bodies. My first thought is, do we really need government intervention and governance? The RICS seems to have put the case forward for remaining a self-regulating body, although some may have a different opinion. And finally, moving on to the question of mental health and construction. The Mental Health Code of Practice. Last week saw the publication of the first edition of the Joint Code of Practice on Preventing and Managing Psychological Risk in Construction by the Construction Leadership Council for immediate adoption. Mental health is one of the most significant risk factors facing the construction industry, with the suicide rate for men in UK construction being nearly 4 times the national average, according to the ONS. To summarise the code in a paragraph, it asks the sector to apply the same discipline to mental health that it applies to physical safety risk, where we identify, assess, control, monitor and improve continuously. The code analyses 4 hazard clusters, which are working patterns, operational demands, people factors and environment, financial issues and support factors. Now, none of these factors is new, and the code is a lengthy document at 140 pages. Let's hope that the industry picks it up and implements it. Well, that's all for this episode. I hope that you found it interesting, and I hope that you're enjoying this gorgeous weather. Thank you for listening right through to the end. Barney and I think your stamina is world class, and we are still searching for that major prize. This has been another episode from Duncan Cartledge Online. We really appreciate it if you could help us by spreading the word, subscribing, and, if you've got the time, write a review. Until next time, thank you for your continued support, and take care.